I thought we had several pages to go, and we got 1 1/4, so we're right at the end. I didn't print the next chapters yet.
Well, we can always read it out in our Bible if we have to go there.
We could do that. Yes, we could. Well, we are on printout page number 134. Last paragraph down there. The waters where the woman sitteth, Revelation 17:5. First off, I guess I should ask any questions on anything.
I have a question. When people die during tribulation, do they stay on the earth until they get judged, or they transfer somewhere?
Depending on where they stand with God, just like it is now, they'll depart. And if they're not in right standing with God, they'll go to hell. Or if they are in right standing with God, those that die during that time, Scripture says that those souls are under the altar in the presence of the Lord. And they'll be transitioned, I guess is the way to say it, when that time period is over, and all those that would come out of the rapture that would be saved, and then all together, then they'll join with those that had previously been raptured. But yeah, there's no in between places or whatever. It's heaven or hell, so to speak.
People don't understand. There's never been an in between.
Nope. All right, then we'll go ahead and do this. Revelation 17:5. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. So the waters upon which the woman sitteth are described as symbolizing peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. In this particular setting, she represents a great religious economy, whose main objective is to commit spiritual fornication against the Lord and His church. This great apostate ecclesiastical arrangement has actually gone beyond the limitations and bounds of their own church bodies, involving themselves with all the nations. The adulterous woman will impose, as it were, a stupefying, drunken worship, subduing the kings of the earth into a state of persuasive submission, that they may pay homage to and worship the beastly end-time ruler. So it's not just the church and the religious leaders. They're going to be involving most of mankind. Let's see. There is a sharing of power seen here on the part of the woman and the beast, as they hold multitudes of the world's population in blinding bondage. However, this will be a short-lived effort, for soon the 10 kings shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So when the Antichrist gets through with the religion of the day, or the church of the day, whatever you want to call them, he's going to turn on them and destroy it. So that one was pretty short and straightforward. Any comments or questions on that?
Just one comment. That's 17 and 15.
And 15?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I looked at it, I'm looking at 5 and I'm like,
Just to clarify.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. Yep.
I know, I was looking at 5, I was like,
Yeah, in fact, I think when we ended last time, I had made mention of that, and then not leading into it, I forgot about that. Yes, it's 15.
Yeah.
Typo. Yeah. So we jumped from 5 to 16.
There you go.
16 through 18, the destruction of the woman. I know we've already been discussing this, but just to make sure everybody's clear, who is the woman?
the church on that day.
The church of that time, yes. All right, let's see. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked. So what's the 10 horns?
Different kingdoms, so
Yes. They're kings or kingdoms of that time. Let's see. She'll make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will. So this isn't just, you have to understand this too. It's not just the Antichrist having his way. He's thinking that after all this time, he's finally succeeding in doing all that he's wanted to do. He has no power, no authority or control of his own. Let me put it that way. He only has what God allows him to have or enables for him to be able to do and to get away with. And all of that is to fulfill God's will. So he doesn't even realize that what he's doing isn't within his own ability. He thinks it is. He's simply fulfilling what God has ordained to take place. So him turning on the church and destroying the church, God said that he was going to do that. She was going to pay for all of the blood of the saints throughout time. Because this, as we discussed last time, this woman didn't just show up on the scene during the tribulation period. That corrupt church, there's always been the true church, but there's also always been a corrupt church that's been in existence ever since Christ was here.
It's definitely grown in popularity.
Yeah. Yep, that's for sure. So this is to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. All right, the triumphant achievements made by the ecumenical, didn't look that one up, movement during the first 3.5 years of the Great Tribulation are phenomenal. It's to do with the church, I know that. Apostate religion will flourish into a state of ostentatious qualities, with the ambitious quest to exercise complete authority over mankind. The church, and I use that term loosely, when done outside of being obedient to God, when man has done it for his purposes, that's always been the intent of man's church, is for power and authority. A growing unification effort which suggests that all religions of the world should relinquish all doctrinal and practical commitments and succumb to a one world church is making phenomenal strides today. Okay, again,
How long ago was
I was
that?
just going to say, I forget when I had said that this was written. For some reason, I want to say it was in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. So from then till now, that's an understatement.
You know words to describe it.
Yeah. The description of the woman arrayed in purple and scarlet colors and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls speaks in the same familiar vein as the last church period, Laodicea. This Laodicean church represents the church world in last day apostasy. It is the church of the end time and should not be confused as a transitional period, but represents in fact a final state. The distinguishing and descriptive caption upon the head of the woman is capitalized in the authorized version. Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. These names are to be considered in the literal sense, that is, pertaining to the nature of descriptive reference which is expressed in the symbolic language. This system of mystery is explained in the notes of 17:5, or is it 15? I just realized, I'm not sure which one he's talking about.
It's 5:17.
The woman is described as riding upon the beast which had 7 heads and 10 horns. This proves that the religious system has continued throughout the entire 7 successive regal powers and will be a predominant factor in helping to unite the 10 kingdoms into a mighty world power. And that's what the Antichrist is going to use the church for, to gain the authority and power over the rest of the world. In the midst of the Great Tribulation, it becomes obvious that the beast no longer needs the help of this powerful ecclesiastical body. That's the church. All of the emphasis of worship, which has always been placed upon the apostate church, will then be directed toward the man of sin. For at this time, the 10 kings will desperately and viciously hate the woman, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. The destruction of the great whore brings to naught the pomp, beauty, riches, and power of the great world church, that mighty ecclesiastical system which identified itself with such boastful terms as, I am rich and increased with goods, and have need of nothing, now has been brought to her final consummation and complete annihilation. The cause which prompted these 10 kings to destroy the woman is that God has put it in their hearts to fulfill his will. It was just as it is with everything that takes place, it's God's appointed time.
I keep saying that about our government. Okay, it's just gotta happen. It's gotta happen to get everything in place.
Yep. Yeah, it's difficult when you're trying to live amongst what's happening.
I can't imagine. I mean, it's hard. I mean, when you think about, okay, there's always been a remnant, okay, but when Israel was in captivity, it wasn't because every one of them turned away from God.
Right.
So, I used to think about that. I'm like, well, then why did they have to be punished for these?
You see that in school.
But here I'm living in that time right now,
It's when the majority
Yeah, I'm living in that time now.
is that way, then it's necessary in order to bring them as a whole back. But you also notice that those that are the true remnant during those times, God bless them.
They're providing it for in a mighty way.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not the ideal circumstances of given a choice who wants to live like that.
Right.
But in the midst of that, they still,
Yeah.
It's way
They
easier.
still have a war,
Yeah.
they still have peace and stuff. Yeah, what their needs are.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have a silly question for you. So when it's talking about our emphasis of worship has always been placed on the apostate church, will then be directed toward the man of sin. So while they're, say, having church, I mean, are they proclaiming to worship a God, but just not defining like who their God is? And then part 2 of that question is this where, he comes in and desolates the temple?
I don't know the timing of that event with this taking place where he turns on the church. I don't know if it'll be simultaneous. I'm not aware of something that puts it, where you could say.
Right. I was just wondering for the fact of it's saying that, I lost the place, that the worship would then be towards him.
Right. So the church of this time, and I mean it's still happening today, they're going to be involved in worship, but it's it's going to be meaningless because they don't have that relationship with God. It's not about God. It's about look at us. You know, how many, you know, if you were to go and go online now and watch, you know, pick a church and go, how much of those worship services is all about the people that are up there and the voices that they have and their music ability,
The lights and the smoke and the.
right? It's not about God. They're making a show as though it is, but it's all about look at us. Well, it's going to be the same thing at this time. There's going to be a worship, so to speak, but it's not going to be about God. It's just going to be about their, you know, abilities and, you know, look what we're able to do and what have you. But then that's going to get shifted when this happens and the Antichrist has acquired the following and the power that he was looking for and doesn't need them anymore. Then he's going to turn on them, and even that worship is now going to be directed specifically towards him.
Yeah, I was just wondering, it's like, okay, I can't imagine what the church would be like during the tribulation. Like, okay, what exactly kind of worship? Not even just, because I get with the whole worship service, because I mean, you look at some churches and, yeah.
I think it's going to look a lot like that.
So basically, you have a lot of motivational speakers up there.
Yeah, I mean that's the message, yes. But even like I said, what's called the worship. I mean, I've been in conventions or services or whatever, where we've gone to other places or churches, and the singing ability, the ability of the musicians and what have you was phenomenal. Didn't feel the presence of God from nothing. You know, the talent was great, but it wasn't worship.
The show.
Exactly.
I mean, most churches like especially the bigger, not even really. It's easy. It's low-hanging fruit to name the ones you see on TV, but even in this area, like Alco, like that, you know, what's that big one at the Mock built? Yeah, I mean, at this point they're no different. They're propaganda wings of the, you know, that's politically approved opinions, you know, stuff that's they're not speaking any truth to power, any, you know. Half the time they don't even preach out of the. I knew a guy that went to that church, and like he would. Half the time they don't even preach out of the Bible. It's, you know, the movie night and stuff like that. I mean, it's, you know, gospel according to Forrest Gump or whatever. It's seriously, it's, you know, they're oh, let's take a look at this movie that's, you know, debatable. The Christians should even be watching to begin with. And let's try, you know, and
we knew a youth pastor that was there at that church, and he preached one Sunday on the blood of Jesus. And they took him in the office and said, that's not coming from our pulpit no more. You don't preach that no more here. And they made him start turning in notes for his sermon.
I was going to say, I don't know if I had heard something about that through you or somebody else, that they needed to approve the messages.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they jumped on things, and he left. He went up to Wisconsin.
I'll tell you what, he was a spirit-filled preacher too. I heard him preach.
They told him
that's why they didn't care.
That's right. Home too. Leave your suit and tie home. Wear your jeans.
Yeah, pajamas.
But you know, it's pitiful.
Well, when you go out in the parking lot and beat up junk cars with a sledgehammer, how does that honor and glorify God? I mean, that's what they did one Sunday.
This guy that I talked to, and I worked with him close. Like we were in the side by side in the same truck, all, you know, I mean, for a long job. So like he would, and they measure everything by their, like how we have our meetings and all that, where they go, everything is at attendance. Oh, we did not even move it. Now we got our attendance has gone up 5. It's about
numbers.
Yeah. I mean, it's all, everything is gauged off that. If the people like it, then they'll come in.
Well,
We're successful.
Yeah. And it's.
They did an egg drop with helicopters one year.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They did what?
For Easter, they get a helicopter and drop a net full of Easter eggs.
So this is what we're talking about. This woman, she exists now. It's just going to be in a worse sense during this time. The apostate church exists now. It's just going to be worse during this time.
I have read, and I forgot where I had read this, but they're talking about, okay, if you want to grow your church, you print out these cards and pass around your neighborhood and ask, what are your preferences? What do you like this or do you like that? If you were to have the perfect church, what would you want to see? And it was like a questionnaire, and then you build the church around the majority of what people wanted.
And that's
how you grow it.
That's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. We're there. Like I said, that the church that we're reading about in Revelation, it already exists. It's just going to be a worse state, a worse condition.
Worldwide.
What's that?
It'll be worldwide.
Yes. Yep.
Well, it said, thinking of that last paragraph, stated about, that last paragraph where it says all of her riches, her beauty, riches and power, pomp, it puts your mind in the Catholic Church, all that's just going to be puked on. It's going to be nothing. It's going to be destroyed.
Yep.
That's how it's going to be bigger and pompier than the Catholic Association is. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be desecrated. It's going to be ruined, obviously, just like they are going to desecrate the temple. It's like it's just
Yes.
it's going to be big.
Okay, so now we gotta think about this. Okay, we're talking about the church like we see now. Okay, Israel and the Jews that are there, they have a different sense of what the word is supposed to be. It's like trying to figure out, okay, how are they buying into this?
Well, they will up to a point, or you have to figure those that haven't accepted Christ. They're not accepting the full truth already, and the compromise. How do I even describe it? I mean, I've worked with different ones that Jewish people, and they adhere to, just like a lot of Christians do, the things that are convenient. And, they're Jewish on these holidays, and they observe these things, and then but when it gets down to some of the nitty gritty of serving God, they don't do any of that. So it's in the New Testament it's described as having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. So they have even Orthodox Jews, for the most part today, have a form of their religion, but they really don't have that relationship with God like
That's what I mean.
like what they should.
So you see them, and I guess I picture, Jewish Israel like it was then, that they had, their different laws that they kept to, and these different things. And you said they had the form. So what the church...
It's far less than that today. Far less than that. So any of the other moral aspects that we're supposed to keep according to God's commandments, and that for the most part, none of them do. None of it. So the compromise in terms of the religions of that time that will get involved to make this one world religion won't be a big deal, because they don't adhere to the things of God that like they're supposed to be doing now. So what will happen, and the one thing that would separate that would be to just outright worship Satan. Okay, they're not going to hold to that. Well, that's why you see all of this stuff taking place and building up, and then when the Antichrist has gotten in there to the extent that he needs to get in there, then that's the next step. Is there, right now we're gonna get to what I really want this to be about, and that's worshiping him, worshiping the Antichrist. Well, they're not going to go for that. Well, you don't need it anymore. He's just going to destroy it. He's going to turn on. I don't need you. You're out of the picture. We're going to do this now.
Do you think that the rise of the non-denominational churches is a precursor to that one world religion? I mean, the non-denominational churches, when did that really take hold? It's not been that long ago.
Not to the extent
that it is now.
That it is now. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. Where to begin on that?
Is it only in America?
Huh?
Do other countries have non-denominational churches?
Not so much that I'm aware of. Not like here. No, usually when you go there, some of the whatever the main ones that we're familiar with, that they'll have their presence there. When a church doesn't want to hold to a particular doctrine and wants to do what they want to do, well, then that's when they break off and they become a non-denominational church.
Right.
Or if they've been involved in a particular denomination maybe for years, and things start going in the wrong direction within that denomination. Well, rather than to say, well, now we're going to join this other denomination, then they break off and become a... So there's multiple reasons as to why that would happen. And all of those are happening at a tremendous rate now, just because of the time that we're living in. Either people want to do specifically what they want to do without any interference from anybody, overseeing what they're doing. You could easily see that being really popular in today's.
Well, that's what's happening now. Is all the denominations that want to put the gay and lesbian people in leadership in the pulpit, and
that's the other reason though that I was talking about, that when those denominations begin to get off track and doing things that they shouldn't be doing, then those that are want to adhere to what's correct and the truth, they're not going to want to be a part of that, so they're going to break away from that.
Right.
So it's usually either one or the other. Either something has happened that they're like, we can't be a part of that anymore.
They're going down the wrong way.
Right, so we're breaking off of that, or it's the other way. Not that this is what they're thinking, but this is what they're doing. They want to head in the wrong direction and don't want anyone over them interfering with that.
And I think I still, I just think that, when we started seeing the rise of the non-denominational church, it was always been in my mind that that's the start of that one world religion,
I can remember us riding with his brother, and he said, well, if I would go to any church, I go to the Unity Church. I was like, well, what's the Unity Church? He goes, whatever you believe, you can all be together in one group. Like, okay, how can you
How is that unity?
if everybody believes whatever they want to believe, and then how do they preach? Like, if this one doesn't believe that, and this one doesn't, what message are you going to say then? But yeah, that's what I forgot the name of.
It's the opposite of
But
unity.
no, it's something with unity, and it was like, how can that be unity if we can't agree?
Never heard of that.
I have to look up that church. I should say denomination.
That's a new one on me. All right, what done with 17.
It's gonna be like you're done one time.
As I was going to look and see how 18 starts off and why jump in there or not.
I didn't know I had to bring my Bible, the Bible stuff.
You going to non-denominational church?
Yeah.
Well, you got 9 minutes, so. You can always read it and then go over it again.
Yeah, because I don't know how he has the verses grouped together.
It should be a good chapter.
Yeah. Let's see. Here I go. I'll put 1, 2, and 3 together. We can talk about that. 18 verses 1 through 3. It says, "And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." So talking about Babylon, we've already come across that previously. What is this Babylon?
Evil.
It's evil for sure.
Yeah.
So is that gonna be the literal city where?
The literal city.
Yeah, like the headquarters of the Antichrist.
Right.
Yes, it's an empire, which will be that seventh power that demonic demon, I don't know what else to call it, is comes forth to empower or be in charge spiritually over that nation. So it's a power, and it's a literal city. So whether it's going to actually be called Babylon, that I don't know, or if it's just here it's symbolic of what Babylon was. How arrogant and prideful mankind is, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't literally name it Babylon. Thinking, we're going to defy, and do this anyways. But either way, it is an actual city, and yes, as you said, it'll be basically the headquarters of the world for the Antichrist.
And like Vatican City is for the Catholic Church, it will be that for Babylon.
What's that?
Is it kind of like the Vatican City's for
Oh,
the
yeah.
main headquarters for?
Right, but this is gonna be for the world. That's what I was trying to think of something to compare with it. We really don't have anything right now. all of the commerce throughout the world is going to be filtered through here. I mean, it's going to be responsible. New York for us is the financial city or location or whatever. This city, this Babylon, this empire is going to be that during the tribulation period. Everything that takes place, economy-wise, is pretty much going to go through here. So that being said, and knowing that it's the seat of the Antichrist, this is a really hypothetical question because you can't even imagine what kind of things are they going to be involved in. That's going to be business, just the norm of the day.
Didn't we talk about selling people?
Souls, yes, I was just going to bring that up. Slavery, we talked about now that we really don't know the extent of the sex trafficking and all of that kind of stuff. It's taken place all across the world at a large scale that people have no idea what's going on. Well, during this time, it's just going to be common practice. Everybody's going to know about it. It's not going to be anything hidden. You're right. That's just how things are going to operate.
All this stuff that you read now, like to me, it just seems it's like such a paying attention. Like the rabbit holes and stuff I go down. Like it's so seamless. Like I just don't see. Like you said, it's talking about when we read Revelation when I was in the teenage class or whatever, it's like how are in the world? It's a completely different world than 2002.
How quickly?
Yeah, and like you said with the human trial, they're making documentaries out. People that never paid attention to any of this stuff are starting to get savvy to it. Like if it blows up, it was like the angels coming in the sky and speaking. Like there's stuff like I said this a couple weeks ago. They're starting to acknowledge aliens or whatever. Like look, they finally showed up. It's going to be so.
The stage is being so perfectly set for all of this that it's like how anybody can not realize what's getting ready to take place.
And running the world from one city, like we got these Bilderberg meetings and WEF, setting all where all these leaders and celebrities get together and no media, no nothing. They talk about stuff and we can't know. It's not a stretch of the imagination at all to see how it's going to play out.
So it's even described here, talking about all the. Verse 3, all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies, the things that are taking place through there. So slavery and selling people, and again, you can't even imagine the depths of depravity that is going to be going on in the world during this time. And this city, this empire or power, Babylon, is going to be the epicenter of all of that. So it's easy to see how God is going to direct his wrath there.
It's sad when, I can understand the world not recognizing it and thinking, oh, you're nuts thinking this. But when you have people who say they're Christians, and I've seen it in people who say they're Pentecostal. I look at my sisters who go to church, and you talk about this, and just blow you off like you're crazy.
Yeah.
How can you say
How
you're
can you
Christian
not see
and
it?
not? That's one of the things I just don't get it. It's like, how do you go to church and not see this?
And they think it's far-fetched. Like, how do you read the Bible? You look at the stuff in the Old Testament, you know, the earth swallowing up Korah, or like all these, like, if you go off this, that you say, like, why is this, you know, all of a sudden out of the question? If you think, you know, you believe Jonah in the whale, and you believe, you know, Shadrach, Meshach, those are all crazy stories.
Yeah.
Like, why is this, you know, oh, well, that's not going to go good. Why? Because it's not, you know, 10,000 BC anymore? Like, I mean, it's...
Well, I've seen, like, my sisters, especially my younger sister, they believe all this is going to happen. They just think that, you know, I'm ridiculous for thinking it could be any time. It's like, dude, how do you not see? Watch the news one day and you know.
I can say it's almost on a daily basis that I'm seeing something happening in our world. It's like,
You just
man,
know.
we're closer now.
You just know. You're right. You just know. And it's crazy how it's easier not to be a Christian now. You know, it's easy to call yourself a Christian.
Yeah.
And when you break down the word Christian, it's supposed to be Christ-like. How many Christians are Christ-like?
Yep. Well, Jesus said, when I return, will I find faithfulness?
I remember in 2019, before COVID or anything else, he and I were talking, he's like, there is just a change in the atmosphere. He's like, you know, I don't know if you see this or feel it, he goes, but, he goes, and it's not, I'm not talking about weather or temperature, he goes, there's just a change
Shift.
in the atmosphere. And not long after that, the whole world
All of
shuts
this
down.
stuff. Yep. And that same shift or change, it's happening at a rapid.
Islands are burning up.
You don't get me started on that.
Canada's burning up.
Yeah.
Canada burned up all summer.
Yeah. Continents are burning.
Yeah.
That's, well, as I always say, be ready. If there's ever a time that we need to make sure that we're ready, it's now.
Amen.
Well, I'll stop there and we'll break it down. I'll remember to print our next chapter. Hopefully I will. Well, I printed and I have the discipleship class books ready, so I got something. So with that being said, Monday starts the discipleship class.
That starts this Monday?
Yeah.
I can quit.
Yeah, so 7 o'clock here, we'll start that. Like I said, I got all the books ready to go, so.
That's the 21st?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Did Deb tell you that you only need one for us that I didn't have one?
It's fine. Yeah, I always make a few extra just in case. So we should be good. Then the following Sunday, the 27th? 27th, will be our baptismal service that morning. I haven't seen some come in. Again, anybody that is planning on being baptized, please come and see me. I had gotten a list of several of the teens that wanted to be, but not a one of them have come and talked to me, so I don't know if they are or not.
No, they're still talking about it, and I don't know if you knew this, they're talking about they want to be baptized in the river.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but we're going to use our baptism.
So long as it's not leaking out, because I don't know what water is coming out from there, but.
Yeah, no, we're going to take care of it. So, yeah. The last time we were there, it was pretty busy
Yeah, I remember.
there. And every Sunday that I drive past there coming to church, it's very busy, and I'd rather not have the interruptions and have to deal with that. I like the baptism in the river myself. If we had a place to go where it was private and didn't have to deal with any of that.
Did anybody come talk to you when you're like, I think there'd be somebody, oh, you good? Like,
Oh no, they're just
No, they
trying to
just
put their
walk
boats in and out right in the middle of.
Yeah.
And it's a public ramp, so I mean, I understand that. So rather than having that to deal with, we have a baptismal, let's use it. That's why I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I don't need to get tempers and my own included, you know, dealing with some loudmouth, you know, that's,
Yeah, we had one that was brought there last
yeah, yeah, so.
by a certain gentleman that we won't name names.
So we'll do that. So if you know any of the teens that have said that they're going to wanted to get baptized, just letting you know that none of them have talked to me yet. So send them to me. Then we'll have dinner right after service that morning. Carry in.
Paper drive.
Huh?
Paper drive for House of Grace.
Yeah. Paper drive for House of Grace. I think that's it. Anything I'm forgetting or don't?
Yeah. Wayne's got a retirement party here.
Yeah, I didn't know
Saturday.
the word's kind of been getting out under the radar for that.
Yeah,
So,
That's this Saturday.
yeah.
this one.
Hey, are you live?
I doubt he'll go on and watch this, but yeah.
Oh,
Just kidding.
I thought green was go,
No.
red is. Be careful what you say. Well, I said it.